I want to touch on something that you and I are
Sure.
very much in the same boat on. But I want to do it in a unique little way here because
Sure.
Streets of New Capenna in the set boxes now have a very interesting twist to it where the feel goods are there, right? The feel
For
goods
now,
when you
how about we qualify that and say the feel goods are there for now?
but I think they're going to be there for a long time. So here's the thing. Obviously, they've started putting mythics and rares pretty much for the most part. There's a couple uncommons, I believe, in the list slot into Streets of New Capenna for the list. By the way, in the 11 or 12 set set boosters that I opened, I got 2 list cards, by the way, just to give you a little preview on that. But what I actually think they're trying to test is the durability of the original cards retaining their value in the original sets. Are they going to, or are they going to, because you and I have this theory about the reserve list. I've watched some YouTube videos about like lawyers and the reserve list, and it all seems so bogus to me. They can do whatever they want. It's not going to, somebody can try to sue them. They are not going to take it into a court, in my opinion, for lawsuit for 5 investors that have money sank into the reserve list cards. It's just not going to be viable. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Wow.
I know
How much time you got?
This is part 2 right here.
So real quickly, you and I both agreed that jank on the list was just horrible. It just feel bad.
Awful.
And I
Bloodhound is on the
agree.
list. Why?
Not only that, you had stuff that's still in print on the list,
Yes.
like just
Yeah.
from the previous set. It's
Yeah.
like, why? Why would you
Yeah.
put a Kamigawa card in a New Capenna list spot? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it even is a good card. Don't do that. You're
Right.
just now. I think that what they're doing is great with cutting out the garbage. Now the complaints about the new list, I think they absolutely needed to cut all the garbage out because nobody wants a 4-cent common that you don't even want to put in the original set somewhere because it has no place. It's just I just want to throw it in the garbage.
Right.
But I didn't think they should keep it at 1 in every 3 packs. I think the frequency now that they're putting all the mythics and rares, they're going to absolutely tank the value. And yeah, I believe in reprinting cards that are valuable, but you have to sort of keep your finger on the pulse so that you're not printing it into the ground and nobody wants it at all. There's only so many soul rings that are applicable to just about every deck, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you start getting into like printing Tarmogoyf, that's going to be very sensitive because it's in singular decks. And you know, Blood Moon is in, you know, kind of very singular kind of decks, and you know, even Vampiric Tutor, even Ether Vial. But I think all these cards that are now $40 you're getting in the list slots, Anointed Procession, which is one of the ones I had pulled on Cothran Cards. I only had 6 packs no, 5 packs, and I had 3 list cards in it. So as far as like the reprints of those valuable cards, they are absolutely going to demolish the value. And I think it's even going to hurt value for like Commander Legends. It's going to hurt the sets that they're currently in. We'll get to the original printing idea, though. That I know you want to address, and my thoughts on that. I don't think that people will really value as much the original printings or older printings of things until we get rid of the reserve list, because we have this mindset about that only reserve list cards can be valuable because it won't be reprinted again. But you can't reprint old cards. Like they're done. You're not going to, you can't make a new beta card because it's 30 years old, right?
Well,
you can make a new copy of it, but it would be a new copy.
But that's what they're trying to do with the list right now is like Vampiric Tutor, for instance. You know, it's reprinted, so it's playable right now in the list form. If you can't pull it from, I 100% agree on that. It felt like they were just like, let's just do this and give them what they want. And then it's like, see, we told you guys. And it's like, no, you didn't do it right. But I do think that they are testing the waters with this to see, okay, it is going to fluctuate the market. And it is going to fluctuate the market in an insane amount because Obviously, we don't know the print runs of
We're already seeing it,
New
actually.
Capenna. It can completely, right? I mean, New Capenna is tanking on release weekend. The prices as they always do, and then they'll fluctuate and stabilize. But the list cards are going to be fluctuating an insane amount as well. But the real thing is, will the cards hold their value in some of those original sets that they were printed in? You know, like a Commander Legends Vampiric Tutor, is it still going to be $40, or is it going to tank down to 20, or will it go up even higher because people want Commander Legends
No,
version? And that's where it's
because
gonna.
that's not even the OG version. The
I know
OG
it's not the
version's
OG
back
version.
in
I know.
Visions, and
I know. I know.
it suffered greatly from Commander Legends.
Right.
And like I said, I think that we need to rewire people. And honestly, the way I think that they need to put value in things are the Viscera Seers, the foil neon ink Hidegetsus, the chase cards,
Yeah.
the masterpieces, the invocations, the expeditions. That's how you generate value moving forward and help people recognize this is a rare thing.
Only in that set,
but we
too.
don't, because we're so stuck on the reserve list.
Right.
It's like we're just, you get inundated if you look out there on the YouTubes of content creators of reserve lists. It's like, and most of it's hot garbage. Like most of the reserve list is true garbage.
It's so awful.
And honestly, like to be quite frank, I have no need for Power 9. I don't play a format that uses them. I have no intention of ever playing Legacy or Vintage. Like there's nobody I know plays it.
No,
I don't want to play it. I'm more interested in Commander, and they're banned in Commander. So, the $50,000 cards, I personally don't care about much. The dual lands I care greatly about, because everybody needs those, especially new players, and I think that they're cost prohibitive.
Completely.
So, do I believe that original printings of things should have the value? Absolutely. Now, unfortunately, the production numbers in today's boxes are so high compared to old sets that you're never going to be comparable, right? They're never going to have that like $3,000, $6,000, $12,000 Birds of Paradise. That's not going to happen, because they had 1,000 of those, and the OG printing of the Wandering Emperor is probably in that 300,000 mark. So you're comparing like 1,000 to 300,000. So it can't have
exactly
$7,000 price tags.
Exactly. What I do find interesting is I feel like WotC has like cycled the color combination of cards as well to make it more valuable. Like right now we're in like the white domination. It's like every good card was like white, like Solitude, Wandering Emperor, like all these like insanely valuable white cards. And like before it was like all black cards. I felt like it was like,
green got a lot of love for a long time.
They did too,
sort of like the big Commander color.
And like blue during like the Masters eras, where it was like Jace and like all the like Mana Drains, and like, I mean, it just felt like every good card was blue. It's like they just like do these weird cycles, and you can almost like see it, and it's like you're sitting back like, okay, so red's coming up, so start investing in red. Like it's just like you can kind of see it, but I do think that they are testing the waters with this list idea to see if it's going to, what it does to those cards. And I do think they're very much in control of like, okay, if this does not work, the new set we will remove like the insane list hits.
So multiple responses to that. I guess you could say, and tinfoil hat Bob here. Sure, I believe that they're aware. Absolutely, they're aware, and I think that everything they're doing is testing us. It's a perpetual test. It's never going away. They need to constantly monitor the market and see how they're doing. They're trying to sell a product. I don't know that they care as much about the secondary market. They care more about the primary market, which is buying boxes.
Exactly.
They don't make any money at all off of the secondary market.
Correct.
But they don't want to scare off, the people that are there for investing, that are buying multiple boxes and want to have. There was a guy that was asked me a question on Nikachu. Scarab God. Do you like Scarab God?
I'm indifferent to it, I guess I should say.
It's a strong card. I don't have any decks with him, but I recognize his power. It's a powerful card. it's a, you know, I don't know, like $50 card now.
Right.
But then he told me he's got 1,500 copies. And I'm like, why? Do you know how
Yeah.
hard it's going to be to move 1,500 copies? And as soon as you try to push any number of those into the market, that $50 value is just going to go, doo.
Exactly.
You're going to have market saturation. There's not, first off, it's a legendary, so people don't need 4 copies of it.
Correct.
It's a commander card. It's a great card, but you yourself having 1,500 copies, you've created a problem for yourself.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I told him I would start dribbling them out there just a little bit at a time, just to try to keep the value up and still get some money on them. I mean, unless you just want to wallpaper your room with them or something, but 1,500 copies is just absurd.
That is.
So you know, with the paying attention to secondary market, again, WotC, they only really truly care about the primary. They just don't want to scare off their people that are buying 1,500 copies of a card, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
So that is, you know, as far as like the conspiracy, because they're not transparent and, you know, kind of working with the public, you know, it's always going to be this guessing game of what they're adjusting. Now, we do know that they have stated that, like, one of the few tidbits they give us, that these print runs are like years in advance, right?
Correct.
So if they've done this as a decision, and clearly this is a distinct change, and I would almost guess, looking at the time frame, because when did the list come up? When was the list a thing? What was the first set?
When was the first set? Kaldon? No.
Nope.
When was it?
You're right. You're about to say
Zendikar?
it. Zendikar Rising.
Yeah.
Was the first set box.
Yeah.
So this might be a reaction that we're seeing to the original. It's about the right time frame. It's almost 2 years. So we're looking at about the time it takes them to adjust their numbers, to adjust their behavior. So we might be in for seeing this for the next, I don't know, several sets.
I would love.
What I can't believe is that the set boxes haven't started spiking like crazy in price. Because if I was to recommend buying any new Capenna, so here's your recommendation that you want, like a solid one. If you're buying any new Capenna product, buy the set boxes. Clearly,
correct.
I mean, that's just where the value for your investment is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is weird because like they're trying to push collector, and the set in this is just, I mean,
they've been
you're going to get more value. Well, absolutely, I agree. But set in this series has, I mean, Kamigawa, you could only get the Neon Chase in collector. This, you have the list in the set. I mean, it's weird how it's going to cycle through. Well, and I feel like we're in.
I don't think that they were trying to. I don't think that's what they were doing with Kamigawa. I don't think that they were with adding that Neon ink, the Chase card. I think what they were testing there is how much do people care about creating hyper Chase cards, right? I think they've already known this from some, you know, look at Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar was one of those like cracked by the truckload because of the expeditions, right?
Correct.
People just went bonkers for it.
Yep.
And now, like, if you want some Zendikar, you know, Battle for Zendikar cards, they're super cheap. Go out and get it all you want.
Go buy singles. Exactly.
You know, that you can literally wallpaper your room with.
Right.
But so I think what they were doing in Kamigawa was not necessarily trying to push the collector boxes. I think they kind of understand their market for collector boxes. I'm surprised that they jacked the price up so high with the battle for Baldur's Gate coming up.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I'm buying 0 of them because I don't. Anyways, we can get into that more if you want to, but I also didn't buy sets. I did buy a case of draft boosters. And I'll cover that now because I believe in playing Commander as a draft product.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with set boxes or collector boxes.
Correct.
So that's why I feel safe enough. Doesn't even matter if the cards suck. I want the draft experience for Baldur's Gate. Like so that has value in itself to me.
I agree. And I am on the train of, I personally like set boxes over draft boxes because I don't draft, right? I'm not a draft player. So for me, the set has a little bit more intrinsic value in terms of not the guaranteed foil or the guaranteed art card, but you don't get the 10 uncommon or 10 commons. You get a little bit more variety in the uncommon and a chance for a couple better rares and mythics. But that's just me personally. But I have come around to appreciating draft, where I hope that they don't get rid of it. And that's a kind of a new revelation for me recently. I hope that they keep the 3 products, because then it will spike one or the other if they do get rid of draft, and they're gonna completely ostracize half their, well, not half, but probably a third of their market base with that. So
that will cause me great problems if they get rid of draft, because most of my sealed that I keep is draft. And for the very reason that, well, if the product dies 5 years, 10 years from now, I can grab it off the shelf, invite some friends over, and we can
have
play.
some fun. Yeah.
Can't really do that with set. You have to do
Yeah.
weird stuff for set, and collector is just not going to happen.
Yeah. Collectors
So-
is just fun to open. It's not,
And
there's nothing else other than that.
See, that goes against one of my other tenets. So I think it's, you know, kind of revelation for me recently was why I particularly don't like set so much. And that is that I don't believe in cracking the set to get value or to get the cards that you want. I think you should target the cards you want as singles. I think you're going to be far ahead of the game. I think that it's more financially
Absolutely.
responsible. Just go buy the cards you want.
Correct.
Because you can crack set all day long and get the value for now. But Rudy, I don't know if you've ever watched that alligator graph video from Rudy.
Yeah.
That as time marches on, the value of the sealed box has very little to do with the actual value of the cards inside of it.
Correct.
Like you can look at just about any old set and
so
prove
true.
that out.
Yep.
And that being the case, that means you just want value right now. You want that endorphin hit. You want that dopamine fix. Ooh, I cracked it. Yeah, I feel great. And that's what you're seeking out of that set box, because I can guarantee you 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever value you got and that feel good from that, look back and look at the cards you got and compare it to what the seal box values. And you're going to go,
yep,
I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll just highlight that. So I remember buying 2 boxes of Urza Saga and cracking them. You know what Urza Saga boxes go for now?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah. So looking at it, would I rather have all the cards that I have
salaries.
in my collection, or would I rather have 2 sealed boxes of Urza Saga? Sorry.
Exactly. That's just
30
it.
grand.
I was telling you, I just cracked open the bundle of Streets of New Capenna for the channel, just for, you know, I crack open a bundle every new set. That's just kind of like my fun thing that I want to do. And I save one as well. And I actually, for the first time, just regret opening it completely, because it was just
Like
such a garbage.
That's bad.
Yeah, it was such a garbage bundle. And I'm like, but it is for the channel. It is just to kind of like show, okay, like this is a small sample size of what you could get. You know, I did get 1 foil gilded, which was beautiful. I mean, it is a very beautiful card to hold. But other than that, I was like, oh, yikes. I feel dirty. And I sped that video up about like, 2000%. So my talking is almost indistinguishable, because I just want to get through the video so quick. And I think that's what a lot of people actually, and we were actually kind of talking about this too, is set cracking on videos. I skip through everything. I just kind of ding, 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 ding. It's like, it doesn't, I used to like want to watch them in full, and now I'm like, I just get so bored with it. Like, cause there's so much product out there,
There's only so much of a single product that I watch open. I actually look for a purpose now. Ooh, can I get this in that product? And then I try to find enough videos of like, ooh, can I get this in the theme boosters? How often are these borderless in the sets?
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff. I mean, even though they say they're in them, how practical is it? So I kind of watch videos for that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's only so many like boxes of something I want to see cracked, period.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it very much just like the other ones.
I just followed my video analytics. I mean, after the first 2 minutes, people were dropping off. So I was like, okay, if I speed this up, people are obviously just wanting to see the hits, so they can just see them real quick, and voila. And I don't want to be a packing open channel, cracking, whatever the case is. Yeah, it's post edit fix there, leave it in. But yeah, it's so weird. Like, the Magic is such a complex universe, isn't it? It's so weird. It's so complex, and to explain it to somebody, it's almost like walk a mile, see a mile. And then when you dive in, you're like in this rabbit hole of crazy.
It's funny because, you know, I was cracking packs yesterday, as a matter of fact. We won't dive into all the reasons. We talked about that a little earlier, but I have a friend that I'm getting into Magic, and mainly from an investment standpoint, but out of curiosity, he wanted to crack packs. And I have a new slogan. I probably will create a T-shirt for this, that friends don't let friends crack packs alone. So, you know, I was cracking some product with him, and I'm in a position where it's okay to do that for me. I knew before I opened them, even though theoretically I made money on them, that ultimately it was a, hey, I'm watching the dollar bills just fly away.
Yeah.
Fugazi,
Yeah.
Fugazi. But then at the end of the night, he was essentially, when he's going home, asked me a very logical question. And I think a lot of people want the answer to this. And it was, okay, so knowing what I know for investing, the order of precedence where I should buy should start with collector, then set, then draft. And I said, it's not that simple. And I'll give you the example, because it depends kind of where you are, what the product life cycle is, where you are in that product life cycle.
What the set
So,
is.
and here's a perfect example. Would you rather have a collector box of Commander Legends, one, or would you rather have 6 boxes of Commander Legends 1 draft? So,
Well, since
just to
I
give you
don't
an
play
idea,
draft, I would take the collector.
okay, now the collector's already at $600 to $700.
Correct. But I
Do
would
you
keep it
think that
sealed.
that's going to double before Commander Legends draft boxes hit $200?
I won't, maybe not double, but I mean, it's going to go up.
It's going to go up. But
Yeah.
what do you think is more likely to happen? That the Commander Legends collector boxes hit $1,400 or Commander Legends draft boxes hit $200?
The $200 mark, because
Right.
it's more
And that's what I'm
achievable.
saying.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about not only that, how hard will it be to sell a $1,600 box compared
Correct.
to or $1,400 box compared to a $200 box, right?
We'll look at double
Just far
masters
more
there.
portable.
$600, $700 right now, 800 on the open market. I mean, it's bonkers.
But that was sort of my point when he was talking
Yeah.
about, like, what do you buy? I said, maybe at release, if you're purely in for investing, yeah, I would say that the collector boxes are typically your better bet, because they're one and done, and they generally tend to go up.
Yeah.
So for dollar for dollar investing, and then yes, the set boxes. But again, it gets into the whole thing of, well, let's say the product goes to zero and I'm planning on sitting on it for 5 to 10 years. And well, at least I always have something I can pull off the shelf and play with
Yeah.
draft boxes. And you cannot say the same for the other.
I
But
think,
again, you know, it's one of those things where I said, you know, if you want to do well in the investing side, there's no one size fits all. There's no simple equation that is the best route to go. Because look at New Capenna. Would you rather have the collector box or the set boxes now dollar for dollar? Would you rather have one collector box or 2 set boxes? Which one do you think is going to probably go up more? I would say the set boxes.
Yeah, I mean, set box, especially around. I mean, and I agree. I think upon release, I do think that if you are purely investing, you always want to get collector boxes upon release, because that's going to be the cheapest. You're going to be able to hold them long term. They are going to go up in value. If you are coming in as an investor to pick up Commander Legends or Modern Horizons 2 right now, it's stupid, because you're not going to return that investment, but maybe what, 5-10%. I mean, they're not going to go up that much more than where they're kind of sitting right now. Now, we all said that about, you know, a box of Revise that just sold for $14,000 or whatever, the 50
different animals.
Yeah, I get it. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're purchasing when the set is released, for the most part, I feel collector boxes are going to be your best bet to invest in right now. That's just my own 2 cents.
I would say that, you know, all things being equal, yes. Like going in blind and not wanting to have to think about it.
Yeah.
That's generally going to be the better move. But
like you said, you know, New Capenna,
you have to, like I was telling him, you know, the shortcut answers are usually not the great ones, right?
Yeah.
They might be good, it might be solid, you might do okay.
Yeah.
But if you truly want to get your hustle on, you got to do your research. You got to put time and effort into it. It's not, that's not a one size fits all kind of market. And it's a very different market from everything else you can invest in, because they hide the numbers. You know, it's very difficult to know what's going to happen in a product. You know, surprise, surprise, with the set boxes, how much that list slot is just explosive in New Capenna.
Yep.
And you wouldn't have known that prior to release, right?
Correct.
So, you know, it's easy ex post facto to look and say, well, I should have bought one box of Commander Legends Collector over 2 boxes of the draft. But you didn't know that it was going to explode like that. There was no way to know prior to it coming out and all the factors. So you don't want to try to invest necessarily looking in the rearview mirror. As you know, what does Rudy say? He says, past performance is no indicator of future.
It's not indicative of
a future success. So, you know, you have to think about it. You have to put time and effort and tracking and look at each product individually and recognize that there's no investment strategy that is one size fits all. That's
right. And I think that's what they want to do.
Highs and lows and really just kind of make them sort of modest gains.
Yeah. They want you to have to diversify, because then it helps their product lines too. But we will get into we have to do another part 2 of actual like reserve list part. Yeah. Where we actually get into like a ton of this. I want to be cognizant of your time, and I want to just ask you a couple fun rapid fire questions, kind of just to wrap up here.
Go for it.
You know, it is kind of the ending here for us. I'm almost at, well, we're over the hour mark, but
that's fine.
All right. So if you could go back in time and meet one celebrity who is dead, who would you meet? Celebrity. Like, so anybody famous. It doesn't have to necessarily be you know, I just don't want
magic related.
No. I want like these are like
famous person
related. It just can't be like a relative, right? I just don't want like, you know, you to meet like, you know, your, so somebody that
that's simple. I know right off the top.
Okay.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Dude, you are like reading my mind here.
Oh, I have a giant book on my coffee table that's got like all his sketches and stuff. I mean, it's a huge book, weighs like 30 pounds. Big fan of his. I think he's a genius. Absolute genius. Love to talk to him.
Can you imagine? So they didn't obviously have recording devices, and his like one of his biggest things was like music. He's like, music is just so breathtaking. It's like I love it. Okay. Speaking of music, next, I mean, I don't know if you go to concerts or not, whatnot, but no,
not a big public gathering person.
Okay.
I like more intimate settings, but I generally don't like the aggravation and the anonymity making people behave like butts out there. You know, I hate that. Whether it's driving or at a ball game or wherever, people don't behave like themselves in public because of the protection of anonymity for some bizarre reason.
Yeah, that is true.
So I don't really like public gatherings.
Well, then let's pivot that question then. Favorite band of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man, because it changes constantly. My current favorite would probably have to be Breaking Benjamin.
Ooh, okay. What was it before Breaking Benjamin? I'm just curious.
Probably Linkin Park.
Okay.
Like historically speaking, maybe Rush if you have to go back like
I like Rush
that far, but I don't really listen to Rush anymore. I generally kind of keep current. I like 21 Pilots, and I generally like, you know, kind of like the alternative. I was a big, you know, Stone Temple Pilots and Creed and Alice in Chains and Nirvana, and you know, that's sort of my jam.
Yeah, so, I'm in that same boat. I mean, that's dirty, kind of grungy what I grew up with. Nice. I love it. Okay. Favorite food of all time?
Oh, wow. That's a super tough one.
And or it could be really like a plethora of them.
I actually had a very specific, because I've always phrased it as it's the favorite thing I've ever put in my mouth. Like, it's just absolutely astounding. I treated myself one time to go on a vacation and do some deep sea fishing with a cousin of mine down in South Beach, Florida. Mm-hmm. And when we came back, it was, you know, getting food was such a struggle. But we just were walking down the street, and there's this like seafood place there that we walked into with like concrete countertops. And it was just kind of a neat, kitschy sort of place in South Beach. And they had this fresh mahi that I wish I knew what they put on it. It was not tartar sauce. It was some sort of like lemon almond butter that they put on it. That was just, wow, the best thing I have ever eaten in my life. So fresh mahi with lemon almond butter from a highfalutin chef.
That is awesome. It's funny you say that because it actually triggered a little memory in my brain. When I was in high school, I went to this restaurant in Atlanta called Panos and Paul's, and they had this salmon dish there, and they had capers and something else on there, but it was some kind of sauce that I wish I would have known, because I would have made all my salmon with that, and it was like hands down the best dish I've ever had in my life, and I kind of dream about that dish to this day. And
Oh God, I feel
I
you.
know it's like,
And it sucks because it's not like saying pizza, it's
right,
like
right.
or steak. Because probably my second favorite outside of that would be filet mignon. I love
Oh
filet
yeah.
mignon.
Oh my God, I'm a steak
Alaskan
man.
king crab. Yeah, it's like,
Ooh,
sorry, I like expensive
I do
food.
too. Yeah. I mean, the beautiful flavor of so
Dude, have you ever
awesome.
gone to a restaurant where somebody put ketchup on filet mignon?
Okay,
See, I'm like,
we
I'm like, leave, just get
we
out of
were at
here.
a supper club a couple weeks back, and for those who don't know, supper clubs are just kind of like these, like, you sit around and drink, and then you go to the table. But then the person was requesting A1 steak sauce, and I was like, why? Like, you clearly have no taste buds if you cannot eat a steak just the way it comes. Like, salt and pepper is as much seasoning as you need. A
I don't
steak,
even like that. I really
I
like
don't
it
even.
just the way it is. I
I
like
do
it to
too.
sit for like 5-10 minutes, like after it comes off the grill.
Yes.
I know it, like
I sit
somebody
mine out for like
educated me on
two
that.
hours, and
Like
then I put on the grill. Oh,
bad steak that you get from your local grocery store that you cook yourself, sure, slather it up in sauce if it's not a good.
yeah.
Like there's, you can go to a good meat market, but like I'm talking like Walmart steak,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
Slather it up. I
yeah.
don't care. But going out to a restaurant where they know how to cook and it's a good cut of meat,
Right. All
do
right.
yourselves a favor. Don't put anything on it. Just try it as it is and try to experience the flavor of it.
Yeah. I If you kept doing the same thing over and over in life, it would be so boring, right? Like, just experiment and try something new. It's worth
Yeah.
the shot. Okay, so since you have high quality taste, this next question should be fairly interesting.
Which is bizarre because if you see how I dress and like I drive a Nissan Altima and like I'm Mr. Not fancy at all, curse like a sailor. If you met me in person, you'd be like, wow, I would have expected him to be a little more high society than that. But I do have expensive taste in some things. Beer too. Beer's another one I'm like,
Okay, so
fancy.
here, let's do this. Favorite beer.
There's so many good craft beers. There's no way to pick one, to be quite honest with you. It would be a hazy IPA of some sort.
Okay. Redbeard was the same way. A nice little IPA. I
But I
like
constantly
Chimay.
like going for like new. Like I'm always excited to like try new IPAs.
Okay.
Like when I can, just for the taste. But I hate expensive wine. Absolutely cannot stand expensive wine.
I
Give me
agree.
Boone's Farm.
I,
Give me Boone's Farm or wine. What are those? Wine coolers? I'll
I
drink a
can't.
wine cooler over real wine.
Yeah, I
I
can't
love it.
taste like the nodes in the
Oh, I
wine
can.
like other people, because after I had COVID, like my whole taste bud sensory is like completely destroyed. So like somebody will give me like, I don't know, Mondavi, and then somebody would give me like a $150 glass of wine, and I could literally never taste the difference. And I'm like, I just don't understand like how it's just weird.
So unfortunately, you tapped into something that's got a little bit of a story for me.
Okay.
When I moved to Ohio from Vegas, I became a wine rep. Like, so I was selling wine, and what that meant is I was doing tastings at our company 2 to 3 nights a week with vintners. Like my very first day, I'll never forget it. My very first day as a wine salesman, and we're all in this room, with these like long bench type tables, and the vintner's like literally 5 feet in front of me, and we have to like, they go around and pour in these glasses, and so I'm drinking. It was a Chardonnay. I'll never forget. It was a Chardonnay,
Uh-huh.
and I had no idea that there was such a thing as spicy wine. Like I'd never
Ooh.
heard of spicy wine, and I don't like spicy foods. So the first thing that happens, I put this nasty swill in my mouth, and the guy sitting next to me just elbows me and he says, fake it till you make it. I'm like, oh, okay. And then he says, so I swallowed it, and it was just, you could tell I was not having a good time. He goes, you can spit it out, it's okay, you don't have to drink it. And
That's funny.
so I did eventually over time begin to understand, like the finish, like long and short finishes and textures, like buttery, like does it stick on your tongue or does it kind of wash down like water, and all these subtle notes. And I don't know why they love to make red wine taste like black pepper, because I can't stand black pepper, but
Yeah.
that is so common. And whether it's fruity or floral, and
Hmm.
most of it's like a sensory thing. That's why wine glasses are shaped the way they are, is so that it
Right.
takes you're only supposed to fill a wine glass up to the widest part of the glass
Yep.
so that
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gives more surface exposure.
Right.
Because what they want it to do is funnel that surface exposure to your nose, because that's part of the tasting experience.
Correct.
So I understand, and swirling around to see the legs, see how long it runs, all that kind of. And it was so hoity-toity, and it was so not me, but I did learn about it. And the short is, I still don't care. I'll drink boons over real wine any day.
I love that. I love that. All right. Last question
Sure.
is, where would you favorite spot to vacation, or where would you want to vacation?
Harry Potter Wizarding World.
Okay.
That's my favorite. And I've been around the world. I lived in Japan for a few years. I love that experience there. And if you've never done it, it's just so impressive. This human creation in the middle of like a swamp that is just an amazing immersive experience. And you don't even have to be a Harry Potter fan to appreciate it. The world they create around you and the immersion that they create for you. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite places on the planet to go.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, Bob, thanks so much for joining me here on Community Quips today. I greatly appreciate it. We will have to do part 2 sometime soon.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Absolutely, my friend.
Thank you for coming to our show, and good night.